The Very Serious Crafts podcast is on Patreon. Visit patreon.com/seriouscrafts to support our podcast, find out about our Patreon half-stitched episodes, and more.
Hello, and welcome to Season 6, Episode 3 of the Very Serious Crafts podcast. I'm Molly from Wild Olive.
I'm Hannah from Hannah Miriam Studio.
And I'm Haley from Red Handled Scissors and the Bones and Bobbins podcast. Today, we'll be talking about crafting a legacy.
That sounds very, ominous, vague.
Dun, dun, dun.
I was thinking ominous too.
Well,
It's very serious.
it is very serious. And we have been having some very serious audio complications starting off this particular episode. So, yeah, so buckle in, friends. Who knows what's about to happen?
Anything can happen.
It's true. But before we jump into talking about it, perhaps we should give a shout out to our serious friends of the Very Serious Crafts podcast who are supporting us at patreon.com/seriouscrafts. Many thanks to everyone who supports us. You're the best, and we appreciate you.
Yes, we do.
Absolutely. Well, I suggested this topic, so I'm going to go first. I'm also going to warn you that along with audio things, I feel like I would not be surprised if at some point during this episode, my stomach growled very loudly, despite the fact that I already ate. I'm just going to warn everyone. If you hear it, it's not the cat. It might be the cat also. We're going to hope for the cat.
I say Darcy doesn't usually growl that loud.
No, she's not a growler. She's a yowler lately, but not a growler.
Aw.
Anyway, crafting a legacy.
Yeah.
I like my idea in this, especially we've talked about like cozy season. We're going to head into Thanksgiving. And so I started thinking very nostalgic, grateful, all of that in one. And every once in a while, we have talked on the podcast in the past about kind of like the people that we are connected to when we are doing the things that we do, the things that we make, etc.
Yep.
And I thought, why not really focus it all in? And especially I want to hear from you, Hannah, as I get to know you more, but for the people that have gone before you, whether they are family members or just important people in your life, or people that just are out there in the world that kind of they've left a legacy for us. And then how does that all connect was kind of where my head was. So immediately my head goes to really my mom and my grandma. And there's people beyond that in family history, but my grandma, I called her Nanny, and I spent a lot of time with her when I was growing up. She would watch me while my parents worked together. And so I spent a lot of days at her house, and she taught me how to sew. My first book is dedicated to her, and it says, "For Nanny, who let me stitch on her kitchen towels." Because she would, they were flour sack towels, and she would let me just use colorful sewing thread. Like she had, you probably remember it, like little stands that had all of the little spools on them. Like that would be a thing that would just be out at her sewing machine. And I would go and grab those threads, clearly not intended for embroidery, but I would thread a little needle and I would just sew lines of running stitch along the hems of her towels. And I was just given the freedom to explore making things when I was at her house. I was given that freedom at my own house as well. It's just those were formative years.
Yeah.
And so she passed that on to me. And it was things that were simple like that. It was also things like she showed me how to sew a French seam when I was 8 or something. And it never seemed complicated to me because I just grew up knowing those things.
Mm-hmm.
And that really made a big difference in my life. And obviously there were all of the things probably that from family members before her as well that were around at her house. And so it was just always around me. And gosh, I really can't even express how much I appreciate the gift of that. And I recognize that not everyone had that.
Yeah.
or they had it in different ways, or it came sometimes they were introduced to things and unfortunately it came with uncomfortable things or painful memories. Like I really don't take it lightly that this was an incredible gift that I was given
Yeah.
by my grandma and my mom. I mean, my mom, same thing. Even now, I get that kind of in the day to day, and it's beautiful, but it always comes back to Nanny. It just
Oh,
always does. So, yeah, she's at the top of my list.
yeah, that makes complete sense. My great grandmother, and I think we've probably talked about this before, I called her Gram, and she taught me how to make braided rugs from recycled wool when I was very, very young. I believe she passed away when I was around 8. So this was very early years, and I remember the huge darning needle that I used. I guess it was probably a chenille needle because it was sharp. But I remember just clumsily making stitches and her being so encouraging, and I barely knew how to braid, let alone sew, and she was just completely positive that I could do it. And I inherited all of her, she would make just balls of recycled wool that she would have in her closet just on hand for making rugs whenever it happened. And it would have batting inside. And so she would just constantly whip stitch the wool into these strips that would end up in like big yarn balls, but it was the wool, obviously. And I inherited all of those when she passed away. And they lived in my closet for years before I came back to it. But every time I would come back to it, I can remember just sitting in her living room, and I can remember what it smelled like, and I can remember how her hands felt, and it's just a really lovely memory.
Oh my goodness. Wow. I love that.
Yeah.
I will say my aunt has a very dear friend, and I got to go and visit her, and her mom made braided rugs, and now she has made full-size braided rugs, and she uses all the tools that her mom used, including she has the dye that she used and receipts for things and all of those items. And she showed me those, and it's the same kind of thing. It's that beautiful passing down of a skill and often the materials and tools that go with it.
Yeah, like I can even hear her voice just explaining things to me, and she called me Lamb. And so I can just hear her voice and everything about the moment, even though it was so long ago. And it's such a sense memory, you know?
Yeah. I'm going to cry today, by the way. It's just going to happen.
Oh, we're all going to cry.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
at least it's not because our audio's not working.
That's right.
Hey, look, I thought we weren't talking about that.
Oh,
Don't say
sorry.
So I also learned my craft, a lot of it from my grandmother, who I called Grammy, and she was a really, really lovely woman and was a seamstress and worked in a department store in downtown Boston in the few years after the Second World War, before she got married, and then continued that practice in her own home as she was raising my dad and my uncle. So I didn't end up learning, I would say, much of the technical skill that I have now from her. But I certainly got the constant crafting and making of things from my grandmother from a very, very early age. It was clearly what she enjoyed spending her time doing. And so even when she had my sister and I and some of our cousins around, she was always working on something and was always happy to share her supplies and yeah, just her wisdom. And I wish that my interest in sewing had overlapped a little bit more with her lifetime, because it certainly, I would have loved to, to get to spend a lot more time with her doing my actual thing, as opposed to the like 9-year-old version of sewing that I did, which was great at the time and not what I do now. But unfortunately, my sewing time and her dementia timeline did not overlap in ways that made it possible for me to really get to show her what I was doing, and for her to, I'm sure, tell me how I was not doing it correctly.
And yet, look at how she still imbued you with those things, that it worked its way into you.
Exactly.
Even though it isn't how we think it normally would do that.
Yeah, and I have her Singer Featherweight in my living room.
As you should.
It is not the machine that I sew on most of the time, but it is right there.
Yeah.
Probably collecting more dust than it should, but I can't imagine it not being out and visible.
Yeah. I have a white sewing machine, white brand sewing machine that is in a cabinet, that it was the one that I learned to sew on, and it belonged to my great grandmother, and it was the one that my grandma used to teach me. And I made a point of making a project on it for my first book, because it felt like one of those important things to do. And it is not, I mean, it's all folded down and is just being used like a little table at this point,
right?
Which is probably half keeping it safe and half letting it seize up. But it's there, and it will get, all happy again at some point.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, can I tell you guys something exciting that
yes, please.
That happened? Speaking of Singer Featherweights, this is entirely unrelated to the topic. It's just that I have remembered and I want to share my joy with you. I was at the flea market that I work at every Saturday, and I was in another booth and saw the celery green Singer Featherweight just hanging out there. And I have one, but this one is in beautiful shape and came with the case and all of the accessories and everything like that. And I got it for half of what it was worth. And I, of course, asked the guy in the booth if he knew what it was, to make sure that he knew what it was worth, because it's not me to get a deal because someone doesn't know.
Yeah.
And he was just so excited to have someone in the booth who would take it and use it that I was just absolutely delighted. And so now I have a green Singer Featherweight in beautiful working order that was just a complete surprise out of nowhere. And he got it from an older woman who wanted it to be used, and now it's going to be.
I celebrate with you.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm super excited. Anyway, sorry. I didn't mean to take us completely off track, except I kind of did, because I needed you to know.
No, I love that. And actually my Singer Featherweight, which I still have not used because it really does need to be a little bit more restored before I do that. I opted to name her Sig, and she's called Sig because that is a person that was really influential to my mom and in her sewing journey. And so it felt like a way to honor someone for her. And I think my mom suggested the name, and I was like, okay, that's what we're going to do. And so it is like all of the things connect, because that's how life is. So.
Oh yeah. My first featherweight is named Joy because it was a 1936 featherweight, and that's the year my grandma was born. And her name is Joyce. And
love it.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For the record, I don't think that Singer Featherweights is ever like actually off topic. Just I think it's always a reasonable digression.
Yes.
I agree.
Fair enough. And if people who are listening do not understand the lore of the Singer Featherweight, I highly recommend taking that deep dive and getting excited about them too, because you will be excited about them too.
They are beautiful machines, both to look at and to use.
Exactly.
Yes. I had mine is sitting out at the cottage where I get to spend. Well, I don't spend enough time there, but it was out, and there were tours going through, and the number of people that were we instantly connected because they saw the Singer Featherweight. That was really nice because there it is. Once again, we're all connected in those ways.
Yeah. And it's such a sweet way to be connected to the generations before that used them so much and took care of them so well that like so many of them have survived and are still being used today.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just, again, like that is kind of this idea of the people that have gone before us, whether they are related to us or not, that are part of this greater story. And it's like, it is like a tapestry of things. And yeah, I love it. I have in my family, I think that most people have women in their lineage that this was, whether they wanted to be connected to sewing and crafting and making or not, clearly this all connected. So I would say that people in my history probably really loved making things. It wasn't always just for utility, only because I will say a lot of the things, the fabric choices, the color choices and patterns themselves would suggest intentionality and making something for beauty. Like my great grandmother made this, it's a knitted Afghan. And did you lose sound again?
No.
You can hear me? Okay, good.
No, I just kicked Haley by accident.
Oh, okay, that's fine. We'll leave that in then.
Yes.
Yeah, my great grandmother, who I'm named after her, her name was Molly. She made this knitted Afghan, and it's just, they're like half square triangles, but it's in black and then primary colors and green. And it feels so modern. And it probably was made maybe in the 50s, maybe the 40s. I don't know. Absolutely gorgeous. Such a special piece to have. And then likewise, there's a black and like colorful granny square Afghan that I have that, again, it feels like the colors that I would choose now and what special things they are to have.
Oh, I love that. And
I also
especially
have
the color connections.
Yeah. Yeah. I also have a very unfinished Dresden quilt from her that came with the wooden template blocks that my great grandfather made.
Oh, that's amazing.
He participated in the making as well, which is really cool.
That's awesome. I have my great grandmother's Dresden plate quilt, and I actually have all of her quilts, and they're just they arrived at my house, I think last year, but my grandma on my mom's side had them in this big like Tupperware container, and written on it was my name and all of the information about it, just in case anything were to happen to her. So everyone would know that those quilts came to me. And like, how lovely to have something that so many women's hands in my family touched.
Yeah. My unfinished Dresden blocks from Grandma Molly, I'm pretty sure are in a Marshall Fields box.
Oh, that's cool.
Having the Chicago Marshall Fields history, and that's where, when she came to the United States from Sweden, she lived in Chicago for a while. And so, yeah, it's really cool to have that way.
Oh, I love that. That is such a nice through line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hannah, are you lucky enough to have the unfinished objects of your ancestry?
I think I'm lucky in another way because no, not really.
Oh my goodness.
I have some bits and bobs from my grandmother, but for the most part, I did not. I think I have fewer deeply crafty women in my family than maybe you two do. My mom's mother definitely tried to knit, but she loved life in different ways. Making stuff was not one of them.
Fair enough.
So there were not remnants of projects passed from her, and I think that a lot of Thelma's things got dispersed in a variety of ways to other people. So I don't have a lot of stuff, but I do have a small amount of things, and I'm kind of grateful to not have a ton of them.
I can get behind that sentiment.
I have some relics of her finished making, which is lovely.
That's nice.
And I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I found I think it was, I don't remember if it was right like the last time that I visited my grandma on my dad's side. It was either the last time I visited or it was the time that I visited her house after she had passed, because they lived in Florida, so it wasn't very often that I would get to their house. And I remember seeing a piece of cross-stitch on the wall and finding out for the first time that she had made that. And it was, I maybe just had never clocked it before that.
Yeah.
But so then we had a conversation. I think it must have been that I actually talked to her at one point about it. And so I was able then, after she passed away, my uncle was going through things. I was able to say, there was this piece of cross stitch, and there was like, oh, was it the bird? And I was like, oh no, it was not the bird. Keep the bird away from me. I would like the basket of flowers. Thank you.
Molly doesn't like birds. In case
Molly does not like birds. Yeah, no. A good friend of mine was sharing some pictures of a trip she was on where she actually got to see a bear out in the wild. And then she showed me a picture of a large bird that was near her. I was like, I will take the bear. Thank you. I will always choose the bear.
And here I am with a brand new pigeon tattoo.
Yeah, oh, wow. Good for you. Not for me.
No.
But yeah, so even though we never, like, I didn't have this long time of getting to connect with my other grandma over it, I was like, oh, she cross stitched, and I never even knew it until very late in her life. And so that was kind of an interesting find. And so I get to have that piece of her. She was also an artist, and that's kind of cool that my dad is an artist. And so then that came along to me as well. And so, yeah, who knew?
Yeah. So I think my dad also picked up his love of art from his mother. And so he's actually, of my two parents, he is the one who can use a sewing machine, not my mom. My mom has spectacularly funny stories about very failed like 4-H projects and home ec projects.
I can't imagine your mom sewing.
No. Wonderful woman, good at so many things, can knit quite well. But yeah, I think the mechanics of the sewing machine might be a little bit too intimidating.
And it is to a lot of people.
And that's totally fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I've told the stories of my run-ins with sewing machines. It's fine.
Yeah.
And then sometimes we get along. It's okay.
We all have them. But yeah, so my dad, my constant frustration with my dad is that he can draw so much better than I can. He does it regularly, whereas I don't. So I guess that's fair because I sew regularly. So I'm sure I'm better at it than he is.
Yeah, maybe.
But I do think that like I learned very early on from my dad that like he was good at this thing because he did it all the time. And just that he was a very early example of like, no, you just actually have to practice the thing.
Yeah, and then, his art is beautiful.
Like keep practicing the thing. Yeah. But I think that came through his mom to him in some ways.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have also found in my family that not everyone loved making things, but they still had to make things or were still expected to make things.
Mm-hmm.
So my grandmother on my mom's side, so the daughter of the great grandmother who taught me how to make braided rugs, was less enthusiastic about making things, although she made things her entire life and did sewing and embroidery and all sorts of things. But I think it was more of an expectation. And so the moment she discovered that I had any interest, all of her finished or unfinished objects came directly to me in a giant tote. And I have so many pieces of things that she abandoned because once she was done, like I guess probably once my mom and her siblings were out of the house, she was like, absolutely not. And so I ended up with sort of a treasure trove of unfinished objects, most of which will remain unfinished because they were not made with excitement. And I am also not terribly excited about them.
There is, you can almost always sense the things that were like made begrudgingly. I mean, certainly I think it comes through in my own work when I make something because I just had to make the thing. It's never the same as the things that I'm actually excited about.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think if someone else wasn't excited about it, what are the odds that you're going to pick it up and be like, oh, now I must make this thing?
Yes.
Exactly. And I mean, there are also plenty of people who I'm not related to who are definitely people whose legacy I also carry. Like my
100%.
German professor, Janet, who is still a dear, dear friend of mine, passed along all of her old work basket magazines to me. And there is this amazing cat-themed work basket that I have not actually made the things from it because the instructions are scarce. Very,
Yes.
very, very scarce.
I have
But
seen some of those projects in those kinds of books.
yeah, but it's so fun to, I believe they were her mother's. And so she passed them along to me because she knew that I would love them and take care of them. And that makes me so happy. Like one of my students in my embroidery class that I teach yesterday used a book that also came from Janet, my German professor, to look up some stitches. And I just love that that stuff is still being used. And I posted a photo on Instagram a few weeks ago that had that book in the background, and she saw it and she was so excited that I still had the book and that it was being used. And I really value that, or those kinds of connections as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you and I, Haley, both have we feel this strong connection to Diane Gilliland.
Yeah.
And I always feel like I say her name wrong, but she wrote, the title has just escaped my head because she wrote what I refer to as the English paper piecing Bible.
Oh, All Points Patchwork?
Yes, that's it. All Points Patchwork.
And Quilting Happiness, I believe.
All Points Patchwork is the book that I still pull out and refer to. It's the one that I direct people to. And when I think about people that are like important to me that I never actually met, we interacted online, but we never met in person. And yet when I think of a crafting legacy, I think of her.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, I have met Diane in person and I've hung out with her. And I actually, not too long ago, reached out and just to send an email and say hi, because it's been a long time since I've talked to her, but she was so important in my career as a maker. And she was the person who gave me the chance to write at Craft. And like, she's probably one of the most influential people in my making period.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for me, it's probably, more from a far off view. And the same thing would be true for Jenny Hart of Sublime Stitching.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. She paved the way for embroidery in the modern era, I would say.
And Julie Jackson for subversive cross stitch.
There you go. And see, and I wasn't doing cross stitch as much at that point, so I missed that part. But these are people that made it. I would say they made it possible for us to do what we do now.
Oh, I think Jenny Hart was the first embroidery book that I bought for myself.
I didn't buy it for myself. I bought it as a gift for my sister. And then I ended up basically having a career in embroidery. Who would have thought? She does not do it at all.
That is so funny.
This is my sister who just recently got married, not my sister who is my stitching assistant, who has impeccable embroidery skills.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
Every time I see something that I know she's worked on, I'm like, wow, those stitches are perfect.
Yeah, they are. My a friend of mine was looking at them the other day and she's like, I need to study this work more. But Grace is a rock star when it comes to embroidery. And I've been able to pass that on to her because of what was passed on to me. So it continues.
Yeah, which is such a lovely thing. I feel that way whenever I'm teaching, when kids pick up a needle for the first time. And often in my class, there are some true beginners. And just one boy a couple of years ago really got into cross stitching. And at some point I was packing up and getting ready to leave the class, and he was still sitting in his chair stitching along. And he just looked up and was like, did you know that cross stitching is super relaxing? I've been listening to this rainfall sound in my headphones, and it's just really nice. And I was like, oh my goodness, I want to hug you. I am delighted. And he did not end up, I don't think he pursued it much beyond my class, but he really enjoyed and found great peace in just the quiet, rhythmic stitching of cross stitch. And that's just lovely to me. I'm so glad that I got to be the person who witnessed his learning and figuring out how much he liked it.
Yeah. You're part of his story now.
Yeah, that's true, I guess.
Yeah.
I also really love the importance of making for making's sake. That there are some really spectacular things that each of us has made, that we own, that other people have made. But I also have really been trying to embrace just this is one of the core parts of being a human being, is just that we make stuff. Mm-hmm. And there's a really quick Instagram reel that I'm going to insist we put in our show notes that my partner Zach uses as part of his teaching toolkit, which is just this phenomenal older guy who's like, hey, you can just do stuff.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And I will say that my partner Zach is part of my you can just go do stuff. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we're sitting in traffic and people are making stupid driving decisions, and we'll just look at each other and be like, you can just do stuff. Just go. You can just do it. Which I don't really recommend, although I am Boston born and bred and learned to drive there. So that is a little bit of our motto. You can just go. If you go faster and harder than anybody else, you win. But I'm so deeply appreciative of my Waldorf education in high school, because I went to a Waldorf school that was just so deeply immersed in craft. Half of my schedule from the entirety of my high school career was a variety of art classes, and getting to just try new stuff all the time. Really, it opens up the possibilities of what might be your craft if you are just like, hey, I'm a creative person, but I don't know how yet. But also, like, if you're just making stuff all the time, it's not a big deal when like half of it totally sucks.
That's true.
Like,
Yes.
you just have to make stuff, and it's never going to be great in the beginning. But if you're like counting on it being great because you make stuff once a month instead of every day, it's a way bigger deal when it's not great.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I am constantly telling my students, and I just taught yesterday, which is why my students are at top of mind, but they often ask, am I allowed to fill in the blank?
Yeah.
And I think it's deeply frustrating to them when my answer is always, you're allowed to do whatever you want to do. Because what they're really asking is this a good idea?
Yeah.
Or will this mess something up? Or anything like that. But it's also a lesson that they seem to really learn and take with them, which is just a delight.
So I was homeschooled, and my mom drilled into my head, much to my dismay as a child, that the process was more important than the product. And that's a really great idea to me now as an adult, but it was not always a great idea to me when she would like throw out projects that I had made, because it was like, we don't need to keep this, because it was all about you making it and you enjoyed the process of it. And she was right.
Yeah.
There's no reason that I needed to have all those things. But that idea was really important to me. And I feel like actually it was Diane Gilliland that said, making is the point of making.
Yeah.
And I made that into an embroidery pattern, because that is kind of the heart of it. And so these truths that now we have embraced over time are part of it. Okay. So I feel like, based on looking at the time, that we should probably start wrapping up this episode.
Yep.
So that we can continue on to other things. But as we wrap this up, I thought it would be really nice if we could each share something that we hope is a legacy that we leave behind. So for me, I want to leave behind a joy in making, generosity in the things that I share online, and love in everything. And I've taken on this kind of new mission statement, if you will, which is that I want to sow love and stitch joy. And I spell sow, S-O-W. That's not sow love, because that's a whole nother thing. It's kind of like not writing that I'm a sewer online. I'm a sewist online, but I sow love and I stitch joy. And that's hopefully the legacy that I leave behind. We're still working on that.
I honestly think you're doing a great job with that.
Well,
every
thank
time
you.
I look at your work, I smile.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hannah, how about you? What is a legacy you hope to leave behind?
So I think I have two. I think one is the like, just go make stuff. Just some of it's going to be absolutely terrible, but just like go make stuff. The other one is that, and I'm just going to give like a very vague shout out to just like people on Instagram who talk about making their own clothes and how it like fuels some self-love and some just like body acceptance. And some like body neutrality, just like my body is, and it does the things it needs to do, or it doesn't do the things it needs to do. And like, it just is. And I think that I want to think more and talk more about just how much making your own clothing can really be so deeply empowering, especially when your body is always changing and isn't always exactly what you want it to be, but like learning how to make it comfortable and make it look the way you want it to look can be like, through making things for it, can be really powerful.
Oh yeah. 100%.
Yeah. Good legacy.
Yeah. I mean, really important legacy too.
Yeah.
The legacy that I hope that I'm leaving behind is, well, I mean, my books, I guess, are a legacy that I'm literally leaving in my wake as I write them. But what I hope to leave behind is try the thing.
Yes.
Even if it doesn't work out, or even if you're bad at it, or even if you don't think that that you're going to like it, even try the thing, because I am constantly reminding myself that I don't know how to do that, but I can try it. I do know how to do that, but this is a technique that I haven't tried before, and I don't need to do it the same way. I can just try it. And I really want people, especially, I feel like when people are looking at handmade Instagram broadly, there are so many people doing so many beautiful, perfect looking things that we often forget that they also had to try it, and that you too can try it and learn and get better. And it's just so powerful to not feel as though it isn't for you.
Yeah.
I want people to feel like it is for them. And no matter how it turns out, they should still try.
Yeah. There are so many people that say to me, well, I could never make that.
Yes.
And I say, I bet you could.
Yeah.
You should try it.
Well, you can't with that attitude.
Oh boy.
Yes, exactly.
My younger self would hate me so much for having just said that.
Yes. Well, that's how it is as time goes by.
That's true.
Well, on that note, I think that we should wrap this up for today. And thanks for listening. Try the thing. Do the thing. Just make something because you can and enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't enjoy it.
Yeah, or hate it and throw it away. Whatever.
Yes, absolutely.
But try it.
What am I saying? You are not required to enjoy the thing that you tried making.
Oh my
you
goodness.
can just do stuff.
Just do
It's
stuff.
true. And on that note, thanks for listening to the Very Serious Crafts podcast. You can follow us on Instagram and Threads at Serious Crafts and on Facebook at Very Serious Crafts. You can also find show notes and all things Very Serious Crafts at veryseriouscrafts.com. And finally, if you're a fan of the Very Serious Crafts podcast, please leave us a 5-star review on whichever platform you use to listen to podcasts, because good ratings help us show up in recommendations, which helps more people who love crafting find us.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And this is our own very serious legacy that we're leaving behind in this podcast. So here we are.
True.
Yes.
Indeed.
All right.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, friends. Bye.
Bye.